Greetings, everyone. This is Vakar Corby from TFT Perspective, and today we're going to discuss why Trump is at war at home and abroad, what is happening inside the continental US, in the European Union. We've also had elections in Germany, in which the conservatives, tilting toward the right, have gained majority. But is it going to bring stability to Germany, or we have, an era of instability coming up? How Russia-Ukraine war is basically affecting the entire spectrum of international relation in Europe, across the Atlantic, and overall in the world. So, to start with, Trump is at war at home and abroad. And if you look at the recent convention by the Conservative Political Action Conference, or the CPAC, not CPAC, this was held 4 days convention, uh, basically, or a conference near Washington. And on 22nd February, it was addressed by President Donald Trump, who basically welcomed, invitees from across the world. And if you look at the invitees, especially from other countries, it's quite a interesting list. So you can call them part of the mega crowd now, mega international crowd, like ex-president of Brazil, Bolsonaro. Then you had president of Argentina, Javier Milei, and we've done, I think, a program on Argentina, how his policies are impacting South America. Then you had Nigel Farage from Reform UK Party, again, I would say tilting toward Nazi agenda. Liz Truss, former British Prime Minister, Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, and then you had definitely uh, Robert Fico, who was the Prime Minister of Slovakia. Very interesting. And if you look at internally, I think all the Trump's team was there, and he did praise them. So this is the kind of coterie of leaders who gathered in the CPAC, and there were a lot of speeches, and there was some circus there. If you look at Voice of America report, we had basically a president from Argentina wielding a chainsaw, and he's been wielding it in Argentinian elections also. And then I think he handed it over to Mr. Elon Musk, who is the godfather of Dodge, or Department of Government Efficiency. I don't know what they are doing, because there's a lot of criticism coming up on Dodge also. So basically, he handed it over, and then Trump also raised it. We had seen Steve Bannon, raising a Nazi salute. Later on, the mega crowd can always say, no, this was not Nazi salute, and it's just, he was raising his hand in a particular style. Uh, when Mr. Xavier Mali was handing over the chainsaw to Elon Musk, he said that this is the chainsaw of bureaucracy. So basically, they are cutting through bureaucracy in Argentina and United States, and I'll come to that. The Italian Prime Minister also mentioned that when Mr. Modi from India, and Trump are doing something, the left or the globalists, they raise their voices. So maybe next year, I think they should hold it in Mumbai Dharvi slum, and I think Modi should head it, because he's also part of the neo-Nazi agenda, at least in the region South Asia and India is concerned. Now, if you look at the chainsaw which was raised, already started impacting. I think the first hit was in Pentagon. Trump basically sacked the Jim and Joint Chiefs through a tweet, although he praised him for his services, and he's basically an African American. And there's a lot of debate now going on. They're probably going to, or they've already fired the Judge Advocate General, or the JAG, of the United States military, some senior commander in Air Force and Navy. And it is heard that he's going to basically sack 30 to 40 2, 3, and 4-star officers. And mainly, one, they were part of the, let's say, the system in Biden administration, in which it was for inclusivity and gender balance and all that. And this is being taken as a crime, because Pete Hegseth had actually said it and probably written in his book, the Defense Secretary, that there was no scope for such people. So now, based on their political orientation, they're going to now start firing people. Then you have another cabal which is being shoved over FBI and National Directorate of National Intelligence, and this is basically going to be is already Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, and There's also very interesting thing that Elon Musk sent an email to the federal employees that they should, uh, basically return the mail through 1 week's performance. What they have done in last 1 week, as if he's basically teaching some kindergarten class. And imagine if CIA and FBI agents and officers and directors are asked to give their weekly report through a return mail. And imagine, let's say, there is a CIA operative working against China or Russia from a safe house in Hong Kong, and he replies that yes, I am working against President Xi, and this is what I have done. So just imagine, and that's why I think. Basically, Kash Patel told the FBI guys to stop this replying or to this mail. They're going to work it out. So just imagine the kind of chaos they have created. So this is the chainsaw which I think is going to cut and bleed their hands, whoever is trying to wield it. Now, if you look at the policies abroad, this was inside. There's health department, education department is under threat, and there are daily funny messages coming. Actually, Trump has kept everybody so much busy through this. Executive order that he issues almost on daily basis, that's very difficult to actually catch up what is happening. So there's a lot of chaos. On the foreign front, uh, President Trump's policies are on head-on clash with the European Union. We have seen it. What was happening? Sorry, recently when European leaders then had to get into Paris under Mr. Macron and try to at least basically display a brave face that they're going to defend Ukraine and Europe. There's already the new would-be, let's say, Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, has already mentioned that Europe needs to now come out with their own NATO kind of thing. There are also talks that probably NATO is going to melt down in coming days or months because US is not going to basically support their initiatives as far as Russia is concerned. And there is also, I think, news about US, Russia, and some of the other countries basically defending against a motion moved in UN Security Council against Russia. So it's very, very interesting. So basically, US is defending Russia. But good thing is that I think President Putin has been able to win his argument, and they'll need to basically stop this war. But now coming to the brass tacks of what is happening with the European Union, mainly Trump's transactional diplomacy and skepticism of alliances has eroded decades of transatlantic cooperation. So it appears that transatlantic cooperation is finally melting away, and as Alexander Dugin had hoped in his fourth political theory, that they need to clean the swamp and push this transatlantic power across the Atlantic and let European Asians have their own business. So maybe we are heading into this direction. The biggest bombshell on Western allies is Trump's policy on Russia-Ukraine war. Although I support it because nobody would like so many people being killed. The Trump camp is propagating the policy shift based on three major factors. Now, if you look at that, one is, of course, a lot of people have lost their life. We have given in the last podcast, sorry, the vlog figures. There are different figures. Like if you look at the military losses by Ukraine, they are closer to half a million. Some people actually now even President Trump says millions and millions of people. So maybe it's more than a million. And on the Russian side, we have about 100,000. Then there are civilian casualties, mass migration. Almost 10 million people have moved out of Ukraine or they are internally displaced. And if you look at the Donbass region, there have been atrocities by the Ukrainian forces in the earlier part of the war. So it's all towards it's a tragic story. So one is of course loss of life that we agree. Then of course the U.S. As per Trump has spent more money than European Union combined within NATO to support Ukraine, which is being contested. I think even President uh, Macron contested during his meet with President Trump a few hours back. And then, of course, the last thing that Trump camp is saying that they'll be able to persuade Russia to distance itself from China, which actually requires a separate vlog. Because if you look at their ability to persuade Russia away from China, it's not basically a game of, let's say marbles that or cricket that you can have, some friends who can be persuaded to join with some incentive. Because if you look at the Russia-China, relationship. I think it is highly strategic. Basically, they had a goal of countering US-led global hegemony or dominance for last 2 decades, and their partnership is rooted in mutual opposition to Western sanctions, criticism of human rights interventions, and resistance to UN influence in the region like Eastern Europe and Indo-Pacific. So Indo-Pacific is very interesting because there India is also going to come in. So in case uh, the West tries to woo Mr. Putin away from China, what options are left with China in the region? I don't think so. There'll be any split. Since 2014, post Crimea crisis, Russia has pivoted toward China for trade, energy, exports, and financial system. Because Russia was thrown out of the SWIFT system. In case you want to know what is system, you can Google it. And basically, China is using the CIPS as an alternative. And China is also Russia's largest trading partner with bilateral trade now more than $250 billion. These are the figures of 2024-25. Russia-China collaborate on advanced weapon systems like missile defense system, hypersonic technology, and joint military exercises, and both seek to reduce reliance on Western technology. So it's a huge, I would say, gap that Mr. Trump and his team would have to cover to literally persuade Mr. Putin away from President Xi. Then, of course, there could be incentives. There's talk that U.S. Could give incentives, especially in terms of sanctions against Russia. Maybe bring him back to G7 and the SWIFT system. But this is the I think there's a lot of ground that is to be covered. Then you have basically European allies would resist U.S.-Russia deterrent that undermines Ukraine's security or weakness. And definitely, NATO would like to put his foot down. But we would say that President Xi is far more integrated into the global economy. She is China than the USSR ever was. So reducing its vulnerability to US wedge strategies will not be really possible. While Trump's transactional style and personal rapport with Putin could produce symbolic gestures or limited deals like temporary sanction relief for energy projects, structurally decoupling Russia from China is impossible because if you look at the volatility in US policy, the way now we are seeing the shift from what Biden was doing a few days back, and then you have 180-degree turns. So definitely, China, Russia, and rest of the world is watching that how volatile is the policy. And let's say, in case there's a rapprochement, will it last another 2 to 3 years? So all told, I think for US, the coming days and months are bound to remain chaotic. And we just want to see can a 79-year-old Trump continue to be at war path with the Western allies and the entrenched US establishment? This is a million-dollar question, and let's see what happens. Do put your comments, like this video and share, and also tell us about the quality. Thank you very much.